All right. So, hey, everyone. I see Rajesh Subramaniam. We might expect some more people to join in a few more minutes. But how are you guys doing? And what's going on? What's your progress? So, since we just fewer people today, let's more have a one-on-one conversation. So, Rajesh, how's it going? What are you up to? And is there anything that we could help you with, or any questions that you have for
Hey,
us?
Gaurav, actually, I'm way lagging with the speed of what everybody are going. The reason being, I am put up with a lot of other works here. So I'm anyway pretty much following the recordings and the classes. And many items are new for me. Like for example, the Jenkins, those things I have never tried before. So I'm just learning and then trying more and understanding.
Right. The pipelines that we built this week and
Correct.
the one I demonstrated, you mean, right?
Correct. And some of the recordings, it's saying member only content, right? I posted,
You're
in
talking about the YouTube part?
Tuesday. Yeah, that's correct. The
Oh, I
YouTube
see.
part.
Okay. Now, I think I need to figure that out. So I published it on YouTube as members only. So what I'll do is, so you're probably not able to watch it even though it is posted on the DevOps Club site. That's what you
Yes,
mean?
yes. Yeah. No, even I click there, right? It is still going to YouTube and then it's saying a
Yeah,
member only
because
content.
it was a YouTube link. So
Mm.
I will figure that out. I'll fix it actually, rather.
Sure. Gaurav.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me know. I think that would be true for a lot of others as well who are not members. So since I am already the member of my channel, I see it. So I didn't realize, I didn't notice actually, but
Oh,
I'm glad that you brought it in.
sure.
Awesome. So yeah, so you can follow along actually. So when you get a chance to, especially the CI/CD part and all that is quite interesting with the new version of Jenkins, Blue Ocean, and stuff like that. It's quite nice also.
Sure, Gaurav. Yeah. I'll keep following and somehow I'll catch up to the speed with the team.
Sure. Absolutely. Look forward to that. Subra, how are you doing, Subramaniam? So,
Yeah,
how's it going? What are you working on?
yeah, good evening, Gaurav. How are you doing? Yeah. Hello?
Am I not able
Hear me?
to hear you or?
Hello? Hello? Able to hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. I think the voice, something is wrong with my audio, I think, today, but
Your
you
audience.
go ahead. I think I'll
No,
try.
your audio is fine. I think Subramaniam audio is what somewhat noisy.
Now able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Yeah, okay. Good evening, Rajesh. Good evening, Gaurav. Yeah, I have done pipelining in for Node, but I'm trying to do a great pipeline for cart. In that, I'm facing an issue in test phase actually. There's a problem in Surefire plugin. Can I
I'm not
share?
able to hear you, Subramaniam. I think my
Okay.
audio, I need to figure something out. So it's probably something wrong on my side because my mic should be fine that you're able to hear me, but I'm hardly able to hear any of what you are saying. And Rajesh, I was barely able to figure out what he was saying. So I think it's probably my speakers, which probably have a problem. All right. In the meanwhile, since you guys are able to hear me, I'm just going to give you the updates from my side. And let me share my screen again so that, all right, I've shared my screen now. So a few things from my end for anyone who's also watching this as a recording. So we have a WhatsApp community already, and a lot of you are not part of it. I published it once, and a lot of people probably missed that announcement. And I'm just trying to consolidate all the details here. So we have 4 groups right now on WhatsApp, which we can use, and you can be part of the DevOps Club, which is the DevOps Club community. But it also has additional groups. So this is more like an announcement only group. And then we have Ask DevOps, which is mainly where you can ask any generic questions, and get it answered. Then we have DevOps Hackathon, that is specifically for the hackathon, and DevOps Jobs, which is basically for any opportunities that we can share, etc. And those are the 4 communities that we have on WhatsApp. I'm also just going to show it here. There's a QR code that you can use. So if you are watching this as a recording, or later on, if you are present here, but you're not able to use this QR code right now, you can pause this video and join these communities. So this is DevOps Club. You can pause it here and then connect on this community. The next is the Ask DevOps, which is where you can ask questions, post questions, and get answers to those. And I'm just gonna keep it for a few seconds so that you can pause it, and later on you can join this community using the QR code here. Then we have the DevOps Hackathon. This is specifically for the hackathon. We already have questions coming in on the hackathon group. And this is where we communicate with the, in terms of the live sessions. There were some questions and setup related issues as well that we found. And there seems to be some additional issues with the pipeline. Someone reported today with one of the applications, a Java application. So we will look into that. But this is good way to keep up and also ask questions. So again, you can pause it and join this group, pause the video, I mean, and join the group. And okay, so this is the DevOps Ask DevOps. This is Ask DevOps. I think I'm missing one of the screenshots. So this is Ask DevOps, and this is for the hackathon. I think hackathon is supposed to be here somewhere. Okay, and one for the DevOps jobs, I might have to add it. Yes, so there's one more, which I will add just here. All right, so I'll repeat that one more time. This is the DevOps Hub. Pause here and add. This is Ask DevOps, which you can pause here. DevOps Hackathon is this group. And then we have DevOps Jobs, which is the 4th group that we have here, right? So you can join the WhatsApp communities if you haven't already. And then I would recommend all of you to follow along with the challenge that we have, the DevOps Hackathon. There's one more update from my side is what I'm working on this week, apart from launching the gold membership, which I have already announced and shared an email with you on. So in addition to that, what I'm working on this week is to create some sort of a challenge for the DevOps Hackathon. What do I mean by challenge is basically it's going to be reflected like this on a portal. So when you go to like somewhere like this, where you see the roadmap and so on, it'll be integrated somewhere here with the challenge that we see here. And you can get to the challenge from there. Probably we'll put it on one of those pages as well. And this is the challenge for the DevOps Hackathon, which I'm building. It is in progress, but the purpose of this is basically to make sure that anybody who joins and wants to get started with DevOps Hackathon and want to know what this is all about and what is the sequence of things that they have to learn and complete and work on, that should be self-explanatory. Plus, we need to have a way to set up the compliance so that, you can progress and you can see the progress only if you have completed certain things. Like you should have watched that, the agenda for that week. You should have learned those things. You should have taken the quiz, or you should have submitted the work. Let's say for the first week, we have the design solution where you should have submitted. I see only a few people have submitted the work, and that's what we audited. But only if you comply and submit your work, and this is going to motivate you to do that also. So only when you submit your DevOps design proposal, with this basically with an assignment here, only then will you be able to make progress or see your progress here, and only that progress will be counted towards at the end of this hackathon. I'm going to certify you on a DevOps Associate certification, because you would have learned at least the essential parts of things, and you should have built at least one large use case, end-to-end use case, and have contributed to that, right? Based on that, and only if you have completed all these missions properly, it will automatically assign and generate the certificate, which you can also post on LinkedIn and wherever. You can add it to your profile and stuff like that, right? So that is what we are working towards. And for that, I'm creating this challenge kind of a thing, which, where you'll have 10 missions in total. And you will see what are the compliance requirements for you to complete those missions, right? So you have to complete, for example, for the mission number 2 that we did in week 2, you should have learned about Docker, and you can see the agenda for that week. It's very clear that you have to go and complete this course and complete this and that. And then you have to take a treasure hunt. Even if you don't complete it, at least you should have knowledge for it, because you can only submit this work and only take the treasure hunt, let's say, only if you have gone through that agenda, or at least have that kind of a knowledge, right? If you have knowledge, that's fine. Or else you should go through the actual, let's say, there's something called as a treasure hunt, which is more like a, based on the knowledge that you learn in the Docker section, Docker Essentials course. You take a treasure hunt where you complete certain set of tasks in a particular sequence, and only when it's a treasure hunt, so you get a clue to the next door only if you complete the first door, or only when you unlock the first door, as we can call it more appropriately. So you start with the task, one task which has been given to you, which is here, the description of that here. Once you start that task, I've given you this, steps to start with the next, how to go to the next step, basically, and open the door number 1. Once you open the door number 1, you get a clue for the door number 2. Once you do that, you get a clue for the door number 3. So it becomes more like an interesting activity, and it will also validate your skills on Docker, for example. So that's the kind of assignment that you have for one of those weeks. And only if you submit that, you will receive a code at the end of that door number 3. And only when you submit that will you basically see this completed or marked to be completed, which will be counted toward your certification. So there's a DevOps Associate certification at the end of mission number 10. If you complete all the missions successfully, you would be given that certificate. And that's what we are building. The challenge and the certificate part is what I'm building this week. And I'll be iterating over it. So you will see that progress and an announcement from me sometime by Monday or so, right? So by then I should have all these missions added, at least the missions which are available right now, those would be added here. And based on that, you will actually see how to make progress in the DevOps hackathon. So it shouldn't be required for you to even ask, how do I get started with hackathon? It should be self-explanatory. And also what happens is we tend to, when nobody's watching, we tend to just slack a little bit. But here you cannot. You'll have to complete those tasks in order to make progress, really, right? And only then will you be able to complete that successfully. And you'll see the visual feedback here, which is good. Plus you get awarded at the end of that, so that you can, actually put it on your resume. So we are also doing that resume building part here for you. So that's the those are the 2 announcements from my side. One on the WhatsApp community, which people can join in. And the second is the challenges and the certification that we are adding to the silver membership right now. In addition to that, I have already talked about the gold membership yesterday. If you have missed that session, you can join another session which happens on Saturday. I will have it added to the live events right here, so that you can see it as well, and you can join that from here. Since you are a member, that's the best thing to do. Otherwise, I've sent the emails about the event, and if you have missed the yesterday's session, you can join in again on Saturday, where I'll be showcasing what's in the gold membership and what is this whole DevOps Mastery System that we're building is all about, right? So that's what I have from my side. So anyone who's new this week, who's joining for the first time? Just checking in. Oh, we have Raroslav. I think I've been interacting with that. Okay.
Yeah, Gaurav, I am the first class for inner circle call.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. So what do I call you? Murali or Garapati or Krishna?
Yeah.
What do I call you?
Garbad Murli. Murli Krishna.
Murli Krishna. Okay, okay. Welcome, Murli. So, would you want to tell us about your DevOps journey so far and your DevOps story and what brings you here? We'll definitely be interested in understanding where do you come from.
Yeah. So myself Murli Krishna, and I have a 11 years experience in IT,
All right.
and I working for Ext India Private Limited as of now with a DevOps engineer.
Sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
this is my first class. I joined, and yesterday I joined one class. That is uh,
That
mission
was the live
number
session
3.
on mission number 3. That was on Tuesday, I think. The live
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I just joined, but a little bit of I learned something on that class, and I started in DevOps Schools Club course content.
Sure. Awesome. So, how long you've been working as a DevOps engineer, Murli?
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year. Okay, okay, okay. And what are the things that you're working on right now?
Right now, I am using Salesforce deployments using a Team City
All right.
with multiple tools like MuleSoft and Salesforce. Currently, we are using. In that, we have to deploy the things with delta changes in Salesforce platform.
I see. So you've been primarily working on the Salesforce side of things with the team
No,
city?
no, no, no. This is the first time I am working for Salesforce.
Okay,
Before that, I working with Metamask technologies. In that, I have a Linux administration.
I see.
Yeah, just I want to move on to DevOps. So I want to join. That's why I want to join here to learn something with experience.
Sure. So you come with the Linux experience and then,
Yes,
trying to get into the DevOps side of things.
yes.
Awesome. Awesome. I think,
So
yeah.
what is
So,
the procedure to follow these classes?
so what you should get started with, I would say, is since you already have the background on Linux, etc., you can
Mm-hmm.
directly jump onto the Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp, the DevOps Hackathon that is ongoing. And
Mm-hmm.
what I would suggest you do is let me share my screen once and explain that
Yeah.
to you. So that is why I'm building this challenge, DevOps Hackathon. You are going to see this very soon as part of your roadmap. So when you log into this portal, you have access to this portal, I assume already. And when you log into this portal, you have this something called as a roadmap, which you can
Okay.
see here, my roadmap, for
Mm-hmm.
example. So when you go to that roadmap, you have the start here part, and then it takes you to the next level. So how do you unlock this next level? DevOps Associate is what we are talking about. That is all part of the Silver membership, actually. So you go ahead and complete the onboarding quest, for example. That's very straightforward, just updating profile, etc. Secondly is DevOps Mastery Blueprint. If you haven't gone through that, I would recommend you do that. You can complete this content in about 3 days. It's a pretty small and short course. It's mostly about what it takes to be a DevOps engineer, what is involved in the responsibilities, roles, and those kind of things basically, and how do you get started with the system and so on.
Okay.
Next, you can skip the system engineering challenge, which is still in progress, and then instead of Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp, I'm going to add this challenge here, which is called as the DevOps Hackathon. Now, what is DevOps Hackathon? DevOps Hackathon is a 10 mission series that we have started, basically, where every week
Okay.
I give you a mission to complete. Now, what is a mission? Basically, it is about building an entire DevOps use case, which is already part
Mm-hmm.
of the courses. So if you look at the Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp, there is a use case that we take up, which is a microservices application, and we build all the DevOps practices, including, let me show you what all do we build here. And that's part of the hackathon, actually. So we start with the first mission where we do build a design, talk about like how do we create a scalable, high available, secure design on cloud for that particular microservices application use case, right? That's a design workshop.
Okay.
Again, this is where you will actually be, you can figure this out from here. So I would say you join this group. There's a particular group there on this, portal for DevOps Hackathon. You can join it. Once you join it, you have access to the feed, recordings, and stuff like that for the live sessions and so on. That's one. So after that, once you have joined that group, you start with the first part where you learn about what is mission number one. So if you look at the mission number one, that is the first week. These are the four things that you have to complete. So you have to read what is the agenda. You have to complete the DevOps story and the use case chapter. That's where we discuss about the use case. Then you submit your proposal. It's a very
Okay.
simple proposal, as in I'll show you one proposal here. That's what we discussed about, and you can watch the recordings also for the previous sessions where we talked about the
Where it is located? The previous
record-
sessions recordings.
Yeah, so you go to courses, you go to
Okay.
silver, which you have access to already, and
Okay.
yeah, it's already here, DevOps Hackathon. So you will find, I think, 2 courses, 2 weeks I've added, 2 weeks I'm yet to upload, but you can start with the kickoff session and design audit. Design audit, for
Okay.
example, is already there. And there we talked about that, how to build the use case, and we did some audits of the designs which were submitted. So where are the design? I'll show you. It's all in the feed here as well. So DevOps Hackathon as a group here. And you go to that group, in the discussions, you will find those designs as a reference. So you can actually learn from those designs as well. Let's say if you are new completely, and if you don't know how to build things on cloud, maybe you can look at those, design proposals. So there's one submitted by Michelle. There's another one submitted by Tassim. So, I think there is one more. Yeah, Tassim has submitted one design. You can go through that. Very well done. So we discussed these and we audited these. So those audits will tell you more about what is my take on these, and we sought some inputs from everybody else. So we had an open discussion kind of a thing, mastermind there. And this was a design submitted by Tessin. This was a design submitted by Michelle. Hand drawn, not a problem. So, it's fine if you just do this and say, oh, this is my application and this is how it would look like on cloud with a load balancer, with some VPC, some, public private subnets. This is where my application would be running. Maybe it would be running as containers. Maybe it's not a container. However you want to do it, that's fine. It's a very rough, simple design that you can submit. And
So you design in this design, we have to design all the infrastructure. Only you get into the infrastructure and pipelines,
infrastructure.
or totally end to end your user interface to
No, no, no,
database.
no. We are looking at just the DevOps practices. So just DevOps design here, which you
Okay.
can already see. There's a problem statement here. So that's what you go through basically. And we have to take care of high availability, scalability, security. This is the spec. This is what I give you. That this is the application, and you have to just take maybe just few components like front end, cart log, and cards, just some part of it, and design how it would look like on a cloud with these things taken care of. That's it. And if you can add DevOps practices in one page, that's also good. But otherwise, just infra design would also work. So you submit that, and then that completes this part. And then there's a self-evaluation quiz, just that you have completed this and this. And if you take that, it's basically completes your mission number one. And then comes the mission number two, and mission number 3 and 4, and so on. So that is something I will start adding basically. So that's what I was talking about. So you start with this, and that will help you complete all the content which is part of the silver membership already. Right, that's what I would recommend to get started with. And these are the missions. So you start learning Docker and Git, then you build a continuous integration pipeline, then you automate things with Ansible, then you build something on cloud. So whatever you design, maybe part of that you will build on cloud. Then you automate some stuff of some of that with Terraform. Then you do some more advanced level of continuous integration workflow with Docker and Jenkins. Then you deploy it on Kubernetes. Then you automate that deployment with GitOps. Then you set up the observability. So basically all the essential DevOps practices you would learn through this over the next, we are already on week 4. So over the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, you will complete that, build that use case. And that will give you a pretty decent amount of confidence to go from here, where we started.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyone
So according to our design, we can follow this mission, right?
Exactly. So yeah, so you follow the missions. Mission number 1 is design, and then the mission number 2 is about Docker and Git, then the continuous integration. then the Ansible. So the CI part that you saw on Tuesday is mission number 3. So you have to build a continuous integration pipeline, like I demonstrated to you, and write pipeline as a code or use that code. It's given here. You have to use it and build a continuous integration pipeline with Jenkins file. That is.
So what is the GitHub URL for this? For using this? So
So
our own or
it's all part of the course. So once you join the group and part of the hackathon, right? You already have access to the courses. So you can go to those courses from the group or from the courses page directly. And that is where you will see the main course being everything is part of that Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp. It starts from there. You can see the mission number 1. I've added by mission now. I've started adding that. So this is number 1 until here. Then comes the mission number 2, and then there's a treasure hunt here. Then comes the mission number 3, which will start here, right here. And it is part of this, or it will point you to the relevant courses, smaller courses, the essential series courses from there, actually. So it starts from this Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp, but I'll make it clear and it should be basically visible from your journey here. Or when you log into the portal, it should be visible somewhere. So that's what I'm adding this week, basically. That's what I mentioned about. All right, awesome. So is there anything else, Murli, that you have this week to ask? Okay, anyone else was joining in for the first time?
Yeah, it's Radoslav. Can you hear me?
Hey, Rad. So we'd love to know your DevOps story, your journey so far. And if you have any questions or if you want to talk about your DevOps journey, what brings you here, that would be a perfect start, maybe.
Yeah. Keseho, I believe you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's in this. Yeah, that's.
I was in India 2-3 years ago visiting Rajasthan, and my friend's Sikh friend had a wedding in New Delhi, so I was going around 5 days, in New Delhi. So I had a great time there.
Awesome. I hope you got an opportunity to enjoy or try out the Indian food as well.
Yeah, and then as well as I was involved just by chance. I was walking in the streets, and then I already saw how a Sikh wedding looks like, but somehow there was a Hindi. Also, people were going along the streets. The groom was kind of dancing, or maybe on a horse. I cannot remember. And then they just pulled me in, and then we just danced together. It was interesting.
Yep, that's how the Indian weddings, North Indians weddings especially are.
Yeah. So what brings me here is I kind of like your style, how you go in depth with certain topics. For example, one that involved debugging not so visible problem, with pulling the image from the Docker. I'm a C#.NET developer, senior one. I don't intend really to switch careers, but I have a big project in mind, my own, which is kind of software as a service platform. And I was familiarizing myself for over a year now, I was working slightly in Azure world a bit with ARM templates, and I like this idea about automating things. So there was this interesting thing, deploy from Git button, where somehow they connected it with a web interface from where you would start deployment by inserting your resource group or subscription, and then somehow it will show you visually that something is going on, and then eventually you would get a URL to your website. So I always wanted kind of to do this, but now I think I'm finally ready to kind of work on my project. There was one guy also involved that has similar ideas. But now I switched totally my focus to this, what I call control plane. So I learned a bit about the topics, in this world. And then, so from Terraform, from ARM to Terraform next. And then now I think I'm sold on Argo CD. I didn't know, I mean, I could learn Flux, but somehow I went to learn Argo, and I don't think I would need to switch that. And I mentioned that in my email. My idea that I use GPT guided prompts, to kind of shape my solution to be able to even deploy at runtime, not for CI/CD for development team, but for from a web page, from a control, from SaaS subscription onboarding page. So I'm trying to mimic what AWS is doing in their reference application. They use code pipeline and whatnot to start this process onboarding. So I was thinking I would go, and maybe I will go and experience that. I reached some problems in the AWS when I wanted to check out the code from in their code. Is it called Code 9?
Yeah.
Environment, and then I could not run some of the commands to switch some. I don't know. This is Linux, so I'm Windows guy, but I got to learn lots of Linux. But I got stuck at some point where some kind of ch mode, something I could not apply to change some script to run. So yeah, over time I got less frustrated the more I knew. Now with GPT Chat I can kind of quickly get my answers. Even in a more complex thing. So yeah, looking forward to seeing some of the problems of this mission. Now I might not be interested in every aspect, ensemble or whatnot. I want to probably stick with some, I'm working with Azure. Currently, today, I need to present Terraform, how Terraform would work to my group. They have some learning sessions, and I basically found a nice bootstrapping Terraform thing, that will give the chance to. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of a way for a plan to be executed with each change with a pull request, so that it will be presented in either comment to the PR or to the issue, so that they can review it, and upon reviewing it and merging it into a branch, then the next apply will continue. So there's a nice kind of bootstrapping that you can start from, and then you insert your Terraform into Terraform folder, and then your GitHub is commands are hooked to that folder. So I'm kind of working with that, and I think I might use for my control plane basically from one kind of thing to control many clusters, many tenants. I think I'm going to use Terraform to create clusters in cloud providers. And use Argo to do CD parts. So the build I would do with what? Let me see. The build is done with a normal GitHub, for example, GitHub Actions. I'm interested in GitHub Actions actually to do the build,
right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on, and maybe I can ask a very precise question if anyone knew what I'm talking about. There is a way to test GitHub Actions on the local computer. Do you know about that? There's a guy, ACT. It's a tool that you can run. It's a kind of wrapper on the local machine.
Can you paste the name of
that happened?
Name of the tool on the chat?
Yeah, it's ACT. ACT. So let me see. So the what I wanted to do is streamline my local Kubernetes development. I'm using Minikube. So my idea was you can type act GitHub Actions local tool development. It would be fantastic if there would be a way that this thing runs in a local, uses Docker daemon to run an image that this guy provides that wraps. So basically, this kind of works by wrapping the whatever is done in the script into this Docker, and you can kind of build things in the Docker container. So now the cool, if I would build Docker on my local machine, I can push the change directly to the Kubernetes Minikube registry. So Minikube can register a local Docker registry, and then by switching the environment variables, Docker builds would end up directly there without pushing the image to the Kubernetes. So I like to pull the image that is built within a Docker run like container.
Mhm.
And now I need to see how these things can talk to each other. You know, if I was on the as I said, on the window on the host, yes, I'm able to transparently, but only by building, have that image ready to be pulled from the Kubernetes. But now I have one kind of idea, you know, how networking works, whether to join. You know, you have to kind of from the Docker go out to the host, and then go and reach inside the Kubernetes. I'm not sure if you understand me, what I'm talking about. So I put my question on Stack Overflow, I believe. I might be able to maybe bring this question, but that would be fantastic if this thing is I managed to do, and then maybe with some little command, you know, okay, do the build with act, you know, like do pre-hook, so that this build will do exactly my local execution of GitHub actions. So that would be my goal, to streamline, to have no key, no batch kind of mode kind of thing, and to kind of behave as if I'm pushing it to the GitHub, you know, transparently. I could kind of do it if I build this, if I save it, or if I do special command, control something, then I would like that local act works by you just say act and then provide us some parameters, and execute this, trigger this flow, trigger pull request or trigger push. So basically, it has those ability to replicate what will happen in the Git, right? So the images that these guys provided is fairly matching what GitHub runners are running from, right?
Yeah, I think
So,
it's the same images that which are being
yeah,
offered.
you have a big one. You have a big one, like several gigabytes there, which I did have. And then you can what you can do, you can cache your all these images so that basically your Git checkout will just be reused. So lots of steps are skipped. So it's fun, right? So you can have some profiles there to save your desired, and in one of the sessions maybe I can share, or we can maybe sit. That would be fun to do.
Yeah, if you could demonstrate how ACT works and how you're using it one of the sessions, that would be useful for everyone. I think this is like a very interesting tool to me.
Yeah. If you manage to do it, that will, they say, it would be very streamlined way of doing things. Basically, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if I manage to do this way, or if I do it manually through by changing environmental variables to point to the Kubernetes local repository, if I do a build and this ends up in a local repository, isn't that the Kubernetes kubelet or whatever monitors the images? Would it notice immediately that the image is refreshed, and it will actually rerun the container?
So for that, you need two things. So when you build images locally, they're local until they are published to the registry. So first thing that you need is a registry like Docker Hub, for example, and you have to push it to there. That's number one. Secondly, you need to have the Kubernetes cluster know that there is a new version of the image and it needs to be deployed. And that is where Argo CD will come in. So the reason why we have tools like Argo CD and Flux is for that, so that whenever there's a change, maybe in the code or maybe in the image, which is a new version, or both, it detects that change and it pulls that change and deploys it to certain environment. And that's what
image updater, or maybe to push the change, and Argo CD monitors that. I know about that, but this is more streamlined. You don't have to go out to push to the cloud and anywhere. The image stays there. The image is pushed to inner in local Minikube image registry, which is no, you're pointing to the local one from your
Got it.
your
So you mean to say your Kubernetes is running locally with Minikube, and that's where the registry exists, and that's where you're building this, so your entire workflow remains local. Is that
and I enabled the local registry which runs within Kubernetes, and by image version, image URL can point directly to that local image. That way, basically, you just do the build, local kind of build. I can do it already, as I said, from the host, from Windows. I built with the how variables you can be redirected to transparently, not even push. I believe the image ends up, going there, being part of the. We are using actually I guess Kubernetes inner Minikube local repository or daemon. I guess we are switching daemons. I guess, right? The Docker daemons with this command, environmental command, right?
right?
That you do. So the goal is to point from within the Docker. I mean, we would have obviously local versus remote build, right? So for local build, I would point to local Minikube repository. And I think as soon as I build, even there's no need that the Argo CD will do anything. Or maybe, I don't know, now I'm puzzled, because Argo CD is to monitor what is happening. But I think Argo CD, it's okay if the image is got a new version from that local repository, that it won't say, oh, I'm not watching the version. I'm just watching the changes in infrastructure. So I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? If I do push an image with a new version directly against local repository, that is kind of reference from the image from the pod, right? So is this considered as an external change to Argo, and he will go and revert change back?
It depends on what kind of workflow that you have set up and what you're trying to do. So I need to understand this a little better in terms
It will be Argo CD. It will be Argo CD monitoring the GitOps, right?
Yeah.
So
GitOps, the concept of Argo CD and GitOps is it will basically, you have the code in the Git. It will monitor changes to that. And whenever there is a change to, let's say, the Git repository and the code in there, Argo CD will go and push it, basically. So that's the whole purpose of Argo CD. And
but what if I'm the one who is pushing the image in there, and that tag, image reference is referencing my local one, not remote one?
Sure. So that should be fine. As long as locally the image, the new version of the image is available, that should work.
But will Argo CD be involved and interested in the what's going on, because it wants to revert? Imagine we have a syncing feature, or
it depends on what you have in the Argo CD and the code in GitHub, basically. So in addition to the image, your deployment will lie in. So this is your GitOps workflow where you start writing everything as a code. You put it in the Git basically step number 2, that is principle number 2 as they call it. Principle number 3 is you set up a Git-based workflow here, like branches, pull request, code reviews, and once it is in the deploy branch, let's say the main or release or whatever, Argo CD will take the code that is a deployment code, which will have your, let's say image tag in it, maybe local, maybe remote repository, whatever it is. And that is the agent, Argo CD, which will deploy to the Kubernetes. So Argo CD will basically be watching for the changes in the Git. And if there is anything to that effect, like let's say you updated the image tag here, even if it is local, it will try and deploy it to the Kubernetes. Now, Kubernetes will decide where the image comes from, local or otherwise, and it will pull the image accordingly and deploy, in my opinion. Again, you have to, I think, if you can put your requirements in some sort of a diagram form, you can take it up as a discussion in one of the inner circle sessions and maybe go in depth into that one specific topic and talk about it, like how Argo CD works with this. And
so from what I said now, just to finish, is that even if I push my new version, V1.1, Argo CD will kind of notice this and maybe try to revert the change, or I have to actually at the same time update my image tag in a Git as well as push it to local one, because that's how I want this image to end up being pulled from the Minikube local repository.
So where it pulls in depends on the image tag. So whatever you have in the image tag, it depends on that. So if the code.
Oh, okay. Then it would be Argo CD that would try to do that.
Right.
But I'm afraid that if I push the image to local Minikube repository, is this tracked by Argo CD?
You have to do something. In addition, Argo CD by default doesn't track it. Like Flux, for example, has that feature where it is monitoring the image repository.
There's image updater thing that does track the changes.
Yeah, so Argo CD has certain thing that you can add to it. I'll tell you how Flux works. Okay, so this is something I have implemented in the Flux course that we have already as part of the portal as well. And what it does is basically, this is where I found Flux to be very interesting. The reason being, I think it's somewhere here. Let's say what Flux does is it sits inside a Kubernetes cluster. It is monitoring your repository. That's where your Git repository is and deployment code is. And it also monitors for your, let's say, container registry and a new version of the image. And when there's a new version of the image, what it does is, first it goes to the deploy code and updates the deployment code with the new version because it found it, and it updates the code here, and then it subsequently deploys it to the Kubernetes cluster. So this is something I found to be unique with Flux. By design, it is available. With Argo, I have heard that you have to script it. It is possible to do that. That you have to you can
with the image update. There's a thing called image updater that does this. That's something that monitors and changes. So it has equivalent thing.
So if it has the cure, I think that image updater is gonna do the same thing. That's right. So it's called as image updater in Flux as well. So if it is there in Argo, yes, it would do that. It would update that. And
I believe if I push the image to local Minikube repository, that is not tracked by Argo. It only tracks the changes in the image tag in the Git, right? I believe.
Sure. So we will. I think we will, in the interest of time, we will have to take it up as a very specific discussion. So you can bring in and you can let me know one of those weeks once you have the clarity in terms of, because this discussion, in order for everyone to benefit, we need to visualize this and say that this is what it is. This is what we are talking about. And this is how we can solve it maybe, and so on. But I think, you talked about a lot of things, Rad. Just to summarize it, I think one aspect of it you talked about was the platform as a service kind of a thing that you're trying to build with Azure and Terraform and multi-tenant environment, where maybe you are setting up an entire Kubernetes cluster for every tenant. And then on top of that, you're deploying with Argo CD. That's where the deployment comes in.
It's multi-tenant cluster. Actually, many tenants are in
multi-tenant cluster, as in, is it every tenant is a namespace or every tenant is a cluster?
No. That would be too coarse grain. Like I would like to fit as much tenants as possible within a given number of nodes I provision.
Sure.
I can expand my cluster to many nodes, and I'd like to find, and that's where I probably need more involvement from you guys. If I want to automate my provisioning, so I would like to have a background process in my control plane to determine how many slots are available. I say I have DigitalOcean, I have this many regions. I want to always have available slots for basic tier, for 5 basic tiers and two standard tier and 1 premium tier, right? Within those nodes, right? But I like to monitor the usage. So basically, another thing is billing and cost utilization, and so I'd like to monitor how well my SAT is performing, and when there is some kind of not enough space in CPU or memory usage, whatnot, then I will provision. So I always want to have the space available for deployment, right?
Sure. So there are multiple aspects of it. So first of all, I mean, you'll have to address one thing and maybe we can take up one thing at a time. And one
Yeah.
of it is multi-tenancy. So if you're talking about the same node and adding as many tenants, it would mostly be based on namespaces. So you'll have to think about namespaces, network policies. Those are the certain features of Kubernetes, quotas for the resource management, quotas for the objects as well. You have to think about storage. So there are many aspects of it when it comes to multi-tenancy. You can also look at the multi-tenant setup with even though you may not be interested in Flux versus Argo, you look at the multi-tenant setup in the course that I have for Flux, where I have designed this. And I spent a lot of time doing the research and design for this, where we have a very nice multi-tenant secure setup with Flux using namespaces. So namespaces form the foundation of multi-tenancy in Kubernetes, essentially.
Along with the network policy, right? Along with network policies.
Network, you mean network policies, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Network policies ask for the network isolation, but namespaces are fundamentally, even with network policies, you can define which application in which namespace is your tenant. So which tenant can talk to which other tenant, or you want to just lock down the tenant completely from others. So those are the parts where namespace network policies come in. Namespace is the foundation or the scope for the multi-tenancy in general, actually.
One interesting problem that I think I managed to see the solution for is when you have ingress, when you put your ingresses and services in the namespaces, you cannot mix and match ingress with in the namespace with the namespace of the service. But then there is a way to override things in NGINX so that somehow various namespaces can still, if you deploy things in different namespace, it can still talk to the magic of override. You know what I mean?
Interesting to know. That's interesting to know. Yes. Very interesting stuff, Brad. I think you brought up, and we talked about multiple aspects. One was the
if maybe we can form a group, I will be willing to show my research until now, and I have almost kind of ready solution to start trying. So maybe I can find some.
So I would suggest you join the WhatsApp community as well as what we have on the web.
How do we have some webpage link or
yes. I have the webpage link which I will be sharing a little later. But I have also, if you look at the recording of this session, at the very beginning, I showed 4 different groups, and you can pause that during the recording and join the group using these QR codes. So you join it there. We can initiate this communication. You can mention about these are the things I'm interested to talk about, and then if there is an interest, we can take it up during one of these inner circle calls, or we can, you can also connect with other members and join. Whoever is interested can join that conversation.
So how does this work? Does it work within the meeting around that time? We meet separately, or it's a total different time as we have?
So if we have time during the inner circle, we will take up one topic at a time, because we can't talk about 10 different topics in just one inner circle call. We will take up one topic. So if you can come up with one topic or propose a topic of discussion, let's say multi-tenancy in Kubernetes, we can take that and talk about it for 1 hour or so, and that becomes a very meaningful and useful conversation. And then we take up another topic in the next session, or if there is a need, if there is more interest in people who want to talk about it, you can form a group and basically start that conversation as well, independent of me as well, right? So that's also possible. So you can bring it up in the community, and we'll see how it takes up. So initially we can take up some of these topics during the inner circle calls, like tenancy is there. And we have, platform as a service, how we can build it. Maybe your specific questions about Argo CD and Kubernetes and GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions, there is a lot of interest, I believe, in the community. So maybe if you can demonstrate, or we can talk about ACT and GitHub Actions in one of the sessions. We could take up those sessions where it becomes a meaningful conversation and something to learn from for everyone. We'll do it in that way. And if anything beyond that, based on, so I have a pretty tight schedule, so I may or may not be able to attend all the calls. But even if I'm interested in these conversations, but you can take it up in the community, and if there's enough interest, there's always a chance to form a group and talk about it.
So,
Gaurav,
so this group WhatsApp conversation, are they happening from certain, like if you are in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting, like how do we switch to WhatsApp conversation?
No, WhatsApp conversation is async. So you just join the WhatsApp groups and start a text conversation there. So for example, Ask DevOps is where you can start asking questions about certain particular topics. DevOps Hackathon is where we have hackathon conversation. This is an announcement group, and there's one more group for the job. So for most relevant place to start your conversation would be
So,
Ask.
but what do I do? Do I use mobile to join, or how can I join? Well, how does this work?
Join by using a QR code in your WhatsApp, scanning this QR code using a WhatsApp application. Later, you will have access to this recording, so you can pause the recording at that point and scan and then join that group. Secondly,
And
the
when
link.
I join, right? So that's kind of feature of WhatsApp. What is happening when I join? I have a, I can type, I can type
Type, yeah.
messages, and what about trying to find time to meet someone on? Do we have a
So
video?
that you have to take one-on-one, either through WhatsApp or through, you can, I think in that case, the best best thing to do is to use one of the forums here and put it there. And then, if anyone is interested in joining that conversation, find time or sync up, through that. You can also, by the way, connect with people or connect with the members through this portal as well, where you can see all the members. And let's say you can search for a particular member, or you can see all the members, and you can connect with all the members.
And how to try to meet together, like how to organize meeting together to work something on prototype.
You will have to initiate either through WhatsApp or through this portal, and see if there is an enough interest. If there is an interest, you can take it up from there actually. And
Okay, well, Zoom, like Zoom or other things. Okay.
yes. Officially, we generally do two calls. One is the inner circle call on Thursdays, and the hackathon call where we have very specific topics and the agenda, where we're talking about the mission for that week and that particular topic only. But inner circle is very ad hoc right now, so you can bring in these topics. You can request for a topic or just mention about a topic. If we have time on that, if there is no other agenda, we'll take it up on those inner circle calls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Gaurav.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, last Tuesday call, I asked for one question, right? For pull request, how to differentiate the changes using git push command. Yeah, can you have any answer that?
Not yet. Can you post it in the forums, so that we have a record of that, and whenever I have time, I can go and look at it as well, or someone else can reply on that as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi Gaurav, this is Ravi Ranjan over here.
Hey,
And
Ravi.
so basically I am very beginner to these things, and I am just trying to learn through your Docker course. And I tried tutorial like learning Docker's file, and there is a work dir. So how this directory will be specified? If I am specifying through the like folder and these all things, it is giving me error. So is this simply dynamic folder, or I need to specify the folder and then I have to go there?
Okay, let me come back to you.
So I basically try to learn like Docker's file, Docker decompose
So you
things.
want to learn the Dockerfile, right?
Yeah, I basically struggling for these of the points.
Sure. So let's say there is a Dockerfile like this here. So what is the question now? So you want to build the image with this, and is there any specific thing that you're struggling with, Ravi?
So I'm talking with when I am defining work dir. So
work directory,
how,
okay.
yeah. So how it should be this work directory? Like
So
I just need to create the folder first and then specify, or how?
no,
What
no,
is the
no. What happens with work directory is, let me see if I have a particular code for it. Let's say this is one of the applications. It is also part of one of the courses, maybe. So there's a work directory here. So where does work directory get created? That is something you need to understand first clearly. And
yes,
that
yes.
work directory will get created into the container that you're building. So when I start building an image with this, what happens is it launches a container, right?
Okay.
I'll tell you exact process. So very briefly, okay, and then okay, that will help you understand this better. Wait a second here. So there is a iterative process for image building, and let me explain that to you with some visualization. Okay. Okay, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so anyone who wants to understand how Docker images are built, this is very interesting. So let's say you have a Docker file. I'm going to bring up that specific presentation. Let's say I have a Docker file with certain instructions, simple Docker file like I showed you there. So what happens is when you have a Docker file and you feed it to an image build process like Docker image build -t, the tag, etc. What starts happening is it starts reading your Docker file instruction by instruction from work directory, copy, run, CMD. This work directory is what the question is about. But in order to understand that, you need to understand how the images are built. So it pulls the base image that you have defined in the from instruction first. Let's assume the base image has 4 layers. On top of that, what happens is it takes that base image and creates an intermediate container. During the build, it launches a container.
Okay.
That container is where everything else runs. So where is work directory being created? It is being created inside this container. And then after executing this work directory, creating the actual directory within this container, it will commit that change and that gives you a layer. That is how we have multiple layers, right? Now we have 5th layer. 4 layers is the base image, 1 layer as a result of work directory. Then it deletes this container because there is an image, intermediate image here. Using this intermediate image, it launches another container, another intermediate container. Then it executes copy, copies the code. Then it repeats the same process, gets one more layer after copying the code. Then it executes the run instruction here uh, inside this, intermediate container, commits that into a layer. Then it keeps on doing that until all the instructions are exhausted. And finally, the image with all the layers, the final image is what you see. Think of this as your own, right? So it's happening in that container. And a result of that is where you get images. I might have some image here. Let
Hi,
me
Graf. Sorry. Hello,
Yes,
Graf.
go
Did you
ahead.
say each time it does a task like the
Yep.
work directory creation, it deletes the previous container, then spin up another container?
Yes.
Then when it wants to do the copy, he deletes the previous container again?
Copy it doesn't actually, but for everything, almost every instruction like run, expose,
Okay.
it creates a new container. You can see that
Okay.
process. You can see that process in action. So Docker image build, for example, I'm not sure whether we can see it now. There's some changes recently which shows the same process now. Let me try. So uh, I have this. This was nothing much. So it is actually, it does a build context transfer, then it starts creating a container, then it is executing this here, right? And after this run instruction, it is going to commit it into there. Earlier, if you looked at the actual output, it would show you that it's running in a new container and so on and so forth. Now the output has changed, so it is not very obvious that it is creating multiple containers, but it does that in the backend. you run this image build process. And as a result of this, basically you get those layers that you see here. So that's why I have these many layers. In fact, work directory does not have a size because it's just a metadata. It just creates a directory. It doesn't have any size into it. Then you add a file which has a size, and that is a committed as a layer. Then you run something here. Then you add a file. Then you add an export. Again, that's a metadata. Then you have a command, which is a metadata again.
So
And metadata are used while launching the container, like what command to run, which port to map. It is all being, there.
somebody can go on mute, please. Yeah, so just what I am understanding that we, even though we cannot define work dir because here the size is basically 0. So what is the need of defining work dir?
Okay, that's a good question. So the reason we have work directory is you look at other instruction, run. Now,
Okay.
which directory is it running from? Have you noticed that? So when you're copying a file inside a container, which directory is it copying to? When you're running the make all, which directory? There's no CD here, right? It is
Correct.
assumed that everything is running within the work directory. That's why we define the work directory so that
Okay.
all this thing, even the run, even the command in Facebook, I'm just giving a relative path. Where is it running from? It's the work directory. So work directory is used everywhere else, including run, expose, not expose, run, copy as a destination here, CMD
Okay.
everywhere.
So my next question is, we are copying the work directory will be inside this work directory. This run will perform, right? So OPT Facebook, this run will perform, then copy will perform inside this one only, right?
Correct, correct.
And then when we do like next thing is copy. So my source will be OPT Facebook work directory, and destination will be also same since
No,
you
no, no.
put a
Okay, that's when it gets confusing. So source is relative to the build context or whatever you have locally. So this is your source. Okay.
okay.
The destination is the work directory. So I will actually show you that. So I just built an image with this tag. Let me launch a container with this and show you what happened. So Docker run hyphen IT rm. You know, I have a container here where you will see, let me see, I can use bash. Okay, so you see work directory. Since I had work directory, I'll actually show you this one. This is
Okay, Docker and
this is better. I'll show you now. So when I run a container with my image created using this Dockerfile, what happened? You notice. So if you see, I landed up in opt Facebook. Why? Because that is defined as work directory. Number one. Number two, what is being copied? The source. Source is what? Source is with respect to my build workstation, whatever is in that current directory, I was copying that. And that's how I see this entire thing, including the source code, being in that opt Facebook directory within the container, right? And that's where it gets copied. So destination is opt Facebook, where inside a container, where is the source? I have to come out for that. Source is my workstation. This is my build workstation. This is my actual workstation where Docker is running. And that's what the source is. So this is the source.
okay, and the next thing, like defining this directory. Suppose that you have defined in OPT Facebook, right? So I
Correct.
can define Ravi slash
Anything.
Ravi Facebook, right?
Yes, yes, yes. You can define anything here. So
But
if
when
whatever you
I
like,
am
whatever you want, you can define it that way here. So instead of OPT Facebook, I can say OPT Ravi, OPT slash Ravi.
okay,
And then I build it again. Uh, you are going to notice now the work directory being used is that. And when I land up in a container after building this image, I would land up in that directory.
okay, okay.
This is up to you. Work directory.
Hi, Gurav. What is the queue option? I'm aware of the apt install -y. -y is like for you to grant a yes for every prompt,
So it's
except
quiet. It's just my preference. It's something I use since beginning, the -yq. Q is for the quiet output. It's not very
okay.
quiet, but it's just a little bit quieter than normal. But -y is for non-interactive process. You probably know that already.
Okay. So the build essential is a pack is the name of a package. Build
Correct.
essential, or is that a command?
That's a package because we are installing it. So everything till
Okay.
here is
Yeah. Okay.
so all of these are packages that we're installing.
Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing the run command make that make is a command because of from the make you installed.
Correct. Correct. Run is a
Okay.
command. Whatever you define with run gets executed within the container. So you see here, it's installing right now, and after that it runs make all. That is the one which is going to build the application, this Facebook application from the source code. So this is the source code right here. It gets copied into my, my container. That is the build container right now. That's what is
Okay.
happening. And then inside that, it executes the make all, and that creates the bin Facebook. That is what I'm supposed to run as an application.
Okay. Okay. So the make all the major folder that it looks out for is the SRC,
Make
or
all
yeah.
is going to run from here, this directory.
Okay. And what particular folder is he looking for in this folder? They include the SRC, the static, or is it everything must be in there?
It looks make reads make file.
Okay.
It's like
Okay,
Dockerfile.
it is the make file.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
all the logic is in the make file then. So make file decides
Okay.
what to do. This is a target for make, and you can write any target that you want, right? So this can be customized.
Yeah.
These are standard targets like make all, make clean, sometimes make run, but these are targets. You can write make file as you wish. You can write any instruction. You can just have make do some copy. You can write your own make files as well.
Okay.
Whatever you define in the make file is the logic that it's going to execute when you run make all. I will show
Okay.
make file actually one of
So
the
I've always wanted to ask this thing, might sound like a silly question, but I really want to know when writing a Docker file, because I get series of projects that I want to practice with, right? But writing a Docker file, you need to understand the environment that it needs and all of these things, right? Like for now, you used build essential, you installed make
correct.
SQLite. So that means for me to write a Docker file for a project I see online, I need to know what the developer used, right, to develop the file.
Absolutely. So what is the first step
Okay.
before you write the Docker file is you, and
Okay.
if you look at my Docker course or anything else as well, the first thing that we look at is how do we build it manually? Always. Because unless you know
Okay.
how you have to build it, there is no way you can write a Docker file for it, isn't it? And that's your question.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So what is the first step? You look at the application, you learn what this application does, how do you build that application without Docker, and only then you start writing the Docker file.
Docker file.
Why?
Okay.
That's why if you look at our Ultimate DevOps Bootcamp and the hackathon, and that's why we break it down into these concepts. And if you look at it, the first thing that you see is that this documentation is something that I added to this repository so that you understand how to build this application. So how do you set it up?
Okay.
You run these things, you install Maven,
Okay.
you run Maven compile, Maven test, Maven package, and only then you would actually understand how to write a Docker file for it. Because this is exactly what you will this is what you will take and add to the run instructions. Isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, yes. Yeah. It makes more sense. It makes more sense.
So what do you
I have to go through the README
one more
documents of
question.
the project.
Exactly. If you don't have a README, not all, that's why we have this learning program as this README, but not all applications would have, because if you look at this is the original application. So
Yeah.
this may not have that. So what do? You figure out the application. And
Okay.
this is a Java application. You see, what do you see? You see pom.xml. So it uses Maven for sure. So what do you try?
Okay.
You try Maven goals. You need to know about these things. So if once you have built, let's say once you have gone through some of the programs also, right? So once you have built the Node application, once you have built Java application, once you have built, Go application, you know exactly what to do. So in case of Maven, these are certain Maven goals. So you're gonna limit yourself to just these many goals. So it could either be Maven validate, Maven compile. This mostly Maven compile and package and test. So this is where it revolves. So once you understand it for one application, of that type, you can replicate it with other application of same type. So you need to know about
Okay.
main, you need to know about Node.js, you need to know about Python, you need to know about Go. There are handful of things, not too many, but you need to know about a handful of things. That's it.
I feel DevOps is the most hardest tech career out there, because we are expected to know everything from the developers' knowledge to the cloud architects' knowledge to the operations knowledge to project management. I mean,
No, it gets, you have to just keep it simple.
Hello, Gaurav. One more thing, like I wanted to know about,
Okay.
like Docker multi-stage file building. So how it is different? Like how we can write those things?
Okay, multi-stage, I can't explain it in such a short topic. It might take maybe 30-40 minutes for me
Okay.
to show you and demonstrate to you.
And
But pick it up as another topic maybe next week. So next week we'll
yeah,
take multi-stage and talk about it a little bit, and I'll explain that to you.
yeah. One more thing, Gaurav, I need your guidance. Basically, I am from the Java background, and I am very new to this area, like Docker, Kubernetes, and AWS. And I am just learning microservices as well. So basically, what are the things I need to learn in this area by like Docker, Kubernetes, and these all things?
So I think you are thinking about too many things at the same time. So you start simple. And I think what I would suggest is that's why I think over the email as well, I suggested you start with the hackathon, because with the hackathon, exactly this is what we are doing, but in step by
Correct.
step, so that you don't get overwhelmed at the same time. Right. And
Okay.
that's what we're doing with the hackathon, where we started with the design. If you look at the design workshop, you will realize it's a very sophisticated microservice application. That's what we are talking about. So we
Okay.
start with a very basic design. Then we learn about Docker, essentials of it, Docker and Git. Now we are building continuous integration. You can watch the recording of the Tuesday session as well. I just demonstrated how to build a continuous integration pipeline, initial version of it. We'll add
Correct.
Docker later. So if you just follow this agenda, you'll have a lot of clarity by like the next month, and then you'll also know what to do next as well, because it will unveil to you at that point of time as well. So let's take it. I think if you take it step by step, digestible steps, it becomes easy, digestible, and it becomes a very focused effort. That's why we want to create a roadmap where you don't get overwhelmed, as Roland mentioned as well. So there's too many things to learn, right? So don't worry about it. Just take it step by step, learn about
So
one thing at a time, and you will have a lot of knowledge.
yeah. So first of all, things I have to go through DevOps hackathon, right?
Yes, hackathon is what you start with, and we'll take it from there actually. Right. So because you'll learn a lot in the hackathon itself, plus you'll learn how to proceed from there after that.
Okay.
By the
Okay.
way,
So
this is the work directory I just created, right? And you can see
yeah.
that it created this directory. My application has been built here. So, it's very easy. It's basically, this is what is happening. And it also starts running that application. So it can actually show you that application as well. This is what I built the image for. It's a simple application called as Facebook. And it's the, I don't think I have a, what I forgot. Okay. Why will I not be able to see this application? A question to you. I'll show you here now. I will not be able to access it. I can see it already. I'll show you now and see if you can answer that question. Simple thing to do. This application I cannot access. Why? What is missing? It's running inside the container. It's running on 16,000 port. Sure, it's there. Why cannot? Why I cannot, or why I will not be able to access it? There are two reasons here.
Yeah, we need to run on the Docker container and then we need to define, I think.
It is running in a Docker container.
Okay.
Did we expose the port?
Exactly. So the most important part here is the application is running on port 16,000, great, but where am I exposing it? On my host, I have to expose it using either capital P or maybe small p, and then be very specific saying that, oh, 16,000 inside the container, which is this, exposes on my host 16,000. That's number one. Second thing that why it would not run is I'm not running the application, I'm running bash because I overrode that. Now it's running on 16,000, and now you can probably see the difference. Earlier it was running something else, that bash, and it had not exposed the port. Now it has exposed the port and it's actually running the application, which is this Facebook. And that might give me a working application. Let me figure out. Okay, so when you look at this, you should be able to, yeah, that's the best social network you have never heard of. It's a simple mock application. It's just a mock application, but it's a very interesting application to work with. I think it's part of our some of the courses, Docker course for sure, maybe something else as well. I think it's part of our exercise as well as part of our
Yeah.
Yep. So interesting stuff. And with that note, we will wrap up today's session. Very interesting conversation today. And I think next week I will take up the topic on of multi-stage Dockerfile, what it is, why do you need it, how does it work, demonstrate it. I'll also show you some best practices related to building Docker images, where you can, I'll show you how you can go from a 400 MB worth image to about less than 10 MBs worth of image using multi-stage Dockerfile, and then some other interesting concepts related to that. All right.
Yeah, one more request, if possible, Docker compose file as well together.
Yeah. It's all part of our Docker course, by the way, Ravi. Docker and LFT 254. There is another course where it is already there, but I'll take it up one topic at a time. One day Docker multi-stage Dockerfile, one of the days maybe Docker compose.
Sure.
I may also point out some
Hello,
resources
Gaurav.
there in the recordings sessions, live recording sessions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Subramanian actually. Now you will be able to hear me?
Yes. Now you're loud and clear.
Yeah, actually, this is regarding that hackathon. I'm trying to do that pipeline for cart. But I'm facing issue in pipeline actually. So I'm getting error in
I think it's there in the WhatsApp group today, right?
Yeah. I have posted also.
Same issue. Yeah. So I will look into it because I will set up an environment just like I fixed the lab issue for that. I will do that. I was just working on a few additional things today, keeping me busy for a couple of days. But I will look into that and I'll report my findings and fix this on WhatsApp once I do.
Yeah, sure, Gaurav. Yeah, the node thing works fine. I'm able to configure the
The
pipeline.
cards
Then the
application, the Java application. I think it's one of the dependencies for that. I think it's one of the dependencies which is failing somewhere. So we'll figure it out.
I'm trying to change the version also, the Azure Fair plugin version also. I checked in Stack Overflow also, even though I'm not able to configure it. Actually.
We'll figure out. I'll try my best to fix it, and I will report if I can fix it. I'll report what those are.
Sure. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Okay, I think Rad has shared some resources for us. How to build a Docker image in Kubernetes pod. Well, you can do that with Canico. You can do it with, it's there. So Canico, you have Builder. Canico is the best option. So basically what happens is, this is similar to doing Docker inside Docker, right? So you're building a container image by being inside a container, which is a special task. So there is a special tool created by Google. Canico is a tool by Google. It's a very simple, straightforward tool. I also recommend this tool for continuous integration pipelines. So when you're building container images via CI pipelines, Canico is a good fit for that. And if you look at the Canico project itself, you will have details about how to get started. It's a very well documented project, by the way. And you can start with, I think this is one of the pods. So you basically run a pod which runs Canico using this particular image. And then within that, you provide a Dockerfile, mount a Dockerfile, I think. So, you see, this is mounted somewhere. And that will pick up the Dockerfile and execute those actions and build the image for you. It works for most of the images. There are certain applications for which it may not, but that's how you build an image by being within a container. And when I say within a container, it can also be within a pod. right? Because pod is nothing but a collection of containers. So Kaneko is a interesting project from that perspective. Maybe we can take up one of this.
So do you have any videos on that?
I will look up. I have it somewhere. I don't remember where, to be honest. I will find out and let you know in the WhatsApp group if I can find out. And if it is part of a course where I have a demonstration of that, I'll let you know about it.
Do you by have chance some kind of searching abilities to, if I want to find a particular keyword that you use in your lectures?
No, it's the videos.
Indexing over your...
Right now, unfortunately, we don't have that feature. It's not even a text content that you can search for, unfortunately. So it's not there right now. So the search feature that you're asking in the video.
Yeah, we can do multifaceted search. I'm exploring that. So to understand the Kaneko, is it similar to what I want to do to build within the? No, sorry, it's not similar. So would that save the cost and would that improve the speed for local team kind of deployments or integration? If I build within a Kubernetes container, right?
It is more, it is secure and more convenient. It's more than anything else, because what happens is otherwise you have to, let's say, especially if it is part of a Kubernetes, continuous integration setup, when you have to build container images via containers, Kubernetes, whatever. The other option is to mount the actual Docker daemon, which is insecure and so on. So this is a much cleaner and simpler option. Of course, it is a cost effective because you're running it from within a container and you provide the same Dockerfile, it reads that and does build your image as well. So it's more about security, simplicity, and secure and simple way of building images from within Kubernetes.
So if within GitHub Actions, we have checkout to a runner that's hosting, who is doing checking out of the code? I mean, is this within the Kubernetes?
GitHub Actions has its own container images. It is going to launch those, and you see that images from the catalog as well, right? And it's going to launch it, and it will run inside that.
So, sorry, I missed the points within there. Within Kaneko, I mean.
No. With GitHub Action, I'm not sure whether Kaneko will run or not. It may or may not.
No. What I'm saying, if you're using pure to build things in Kaneko, we always for this to happen, we need to do like in .NET. We need to restore the image from .NET SDK and then do .NET restore.
Correct.
And then do all these steps to build the image. So is this happening, this retrieval of the code within the Kaneko process?
Kaneko, yeah. Kaneko runs a container, and within that container, it will retrieve the code, including the Dockerfile, and build it inside that.
So that retrieval is Kaneko thing, is Kaneko way of retrieving.
You see here, right? I think it's a Kaneko pod. It's going to clone the repo with Dockerfile, build it here.
Definitely, that would eliminate the need if I do have and play with a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster. Then basically I'm building an image where I'm going to also run in other parts of the node, right? So everything stays and it's fast for retrieval. And
sure, if your registry is in the same cluster, it would be faster. So yep, makes sense.
So once I build, I can push to the local class. I need to install like local.
As long as you can push to anywhere that Kaneko pod or a pod in Kubernetes has access to. So if your registry is local, it is available within the Kubernetes and it can directly connect to that. It would work
faster and cost effective because I don't pay the registry, right?
That's
so I just need to worry.
You have to run the registry in the Kubernetes, so it's not completely like you have.
I have to do what?
You have to have a registry running in a Kubernetes. Kubernetes does not offer a container registry.
Yeah, of course. And then would you say that I need to have if I want these pods to be the build images to be persisted across maybe restarts of the nodes, that I have a persistence claim and persistence volume, devoted to the storage? I mean, how
Not
is there a way to
necessarily. Pods will come up if your local machine, if you restart, if your Kubernetes cluster comes up, pods will come up automatically.
No, what I'm saying, if it's in DigitalOcean, for example, the image is built and then it's stored, like Canonical would know where images are built. Can we say it needs to be built on a persistent storage that will survive?
Registry could have a persistent storage, but not Canico doesn't need
Oh,
it.
registry. Okay. So Canonical will just push it. Okay,
Yep.
I'll explore that. There's I know about that. I like this idea now more. If I solve that as well as my local build with Act, that would be perfect for my workflow.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
So, yep, we'll take up this tool. I think I'll probably demonstrate this one of these days, Canico, how it works and why
Definitely.
people use it and so on. That becomes a topic of discussion one of the weeks, I think. So
Great,
it
thank you.
probably makes sense to take up these kind of topics every week and talk about it. That could be interesting for like most of you as well. So we'll take that up. So next week we'll take up multi-stage Dockerfile. Probably a week after that we'll talk about something like Canico or why to use it and so on as well. And that's it, folks. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much, and very interesting discussions today. I will publish the recording on the table and also to you.
Yeah, one more thing, recordings for previous DevOps Decthon recording where I can get
Hackathon
it.
will be part of, so you go to the courses, there'll be one course for the hackathon. There is one for, say, the Inner Circle archives. Inner Circle archives I have uploaded just last. Inner Circle Vault is for the Inner Circle calls that we are doing right now. And you will see most of the recordings from March and February and so on. It's here. You can go through those. And then hackathon
Okay.
is here where we are talking about specific topics. There are two added, two yet to be uploaded, but it will be there, and you can find it from this course section itself. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Problem. You're welcome. And I look forward to see you all in one of the next live sessions. So thank you very much. And I'm going to see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.